eventually you get absorbed in and you are Sonic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to No Repeat. It's a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week with no repeats and no do-overs to create a perfect playlist for every occasion life throws at you. I'm Taylor Olmstead, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Tyler Reed.
I'm not Sean Evans from Hot Ones.
And Sean Evans.
I am also not Sean Evans from Hot Ones.
Tyler, this is not a podcast where we ask spicy questions and eat even spicier wings. But what was our challenge this week?
This week, we are challenged to find the perfect song for when you've just ate too spicy of a food and you don't know what's happening to your body. Submitted by Andrew Wood. Don't find him on the internet. But if you want to submit your own challenge, you can DM us, add us, No Repeat Pod on Instagram or Twitter. You know, your favorite social media websites that are not crumbling as we speak. Or always send us an email. Emails are great. Who doesn't love a nice email? norepeatpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much.
Okay, so we have to, in the preamble, address the Hot Ones in the room. Guys, I love Hot Ones. I know it's kind of like basic online boy to enjoy Hot Ones.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it's a great interview format.
Yes?
I agree. No, I like it.
I do think the questions have gotten less intense as it's gone on, which makes sense. But, you know, you don't get big stars by asking hard questions, but still.
I completely agree.
I feel like in some ways, some of them do feel... I still feel like they have, like, good questions, though. I feel like they have always questions that I feel like that prompts them to sort of, like, reveal maybe something you don't normally do on the press junket, you know? And I feel like that's really the benefit. And I feel like the right co-host really does have a nice like I feel like the right guest really does feel like they're sort of like bonding in a way, and that's kind of nice.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal did a really good one. I was really impressed with him.
Actually, I don't think I watched that one. I'll have to go back and watch. Yeah, I did not. I have not watched any of this most recent season. I should do that.
Another favorite of mine, Weird Al.
I believe that.
Mostly because he just has a very expressive face. And those are the people I love to watch on there. Because I love when they can't control their facial reactions. Because that's me. So a friend of mine actually hosts an annual Hot Ones party here in Atlanta. It started as kind of a lark, but now he's making his own hot sauce and adding it to the rotation. And it'll light you up, man. And I gotta say, like, I have no poker face when it comes to this stuff. Like, I feel like I have a pretty high tolerance. Like, I routinely eat spicier food than my fiance. But when I hit my limit, you're gonna know it. What about you guys? How do you handle the spice?
I like the spice. I don't hide my feelings about it at all. If it's hot, I'm gonna try and fix it. I'm not afraid of it, but I know now that I don't. There are certain places that I don't want to go now. If that makes sense. I'm like, nope, it just isn't worth it for me. Like maybe like one drop of the last dab I could probably do if we're just speaking directly towards a show that we can talk about it, right? It's kind of commentary on a show.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I could do it.
Well, and that was the beauty of the Hot Ones party, right? Is like there were wings, but you could also just like put a little bit on a tortilla chip, and you don't have to have a ton of it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. Having watched the show now, and they've had a couple like vegetarians and vegans on there. If I was on the show, I would choose the vegan wings just because they just look better.
They do, and I think it probably
sure that,
absorbs a little bit of the heat more.
We're gonna get some real big hate mail now.
No, I'm with you. Actually, one of the spiciest dishes I've ever had. Friends of the show, Daniel and Seth, and I went out in Nashville. We did like a guy's trip to Nashville right after college and saw a bunch of live music and had a great time. But we went to this vegetarian restaurant because both of them are vegetarian. And I got this, like, I want to say it was like a buffalo tofu bowl. I don't remember. I just remember like it was some of the hottest food I've ever eaten in my whole life. It's like that, and a few weeks ago, a buddy of mine from New Orleans, who lives here now, hosted a crawfish boil. And the spicy sausage in the crawfish boil lit me up. Like, I had to go inside and find the milk. It was bad.
So I feel like probably the most intense spicy food experience I've had recently was unfortunately the trip when I went to go see Me Without You in Chicago, which is also when I got COVID. RIP. Like we got right off the highway or whatever, and we just went to like a hot dog stand, and I got a Polish sausage hot dog, and there was like I guess I think it's called a sport pepper or a hot sport pepper. And I was like, oh, it's probably just like I didn't really know like what kind of pepper it was. I was like, oh, this is probably like not that bad, but I just like put the whole thing in my mouth, and I immediately died. I was like, the regret was instantaneous. I was like, I like just didn't know what to do because I also was very low on like water after sitting in a car for like 4 hours. So I was like, I just have to just deal with this, I guess. And it was just the most like intense, like long lasting, like hot pain I've had in like a long time. But I feel like, I would say probably like that, or just like some really like super spicy Indian where it's like almost inedible at that point, where it's like it is so hot that I can't finish eating it because it's too hard to eat. I feel like with like the singular wing, if we're gonna keep using hot wings as a metaphor, I feel like you just shove it down and you're done. You just
Well, and Indian food is a great counterexample, right? Because it's like that slow build.
Yeah.
Like, I love Indian food, but I am very conscious of the fact that I order off of the American menu.
Yeah.
Because I just can't handle it, especially for that quantity of spice. Like, it just never ends. The whole dish is covered in it. And that's what makes it good, but that's also what'll, burn your tongue off. Sean, what's the most spicy thing you've eaten recently?
A couple years ago, I was sent some Carolina Reaper covered peanuts that came in a little vial, and I had a few of them, and I was like, well, this isn't that hot, so I had a few more, and then I got the hiccups, and then the heat came. That sucked. That was miserable. That was the worst. That was when everything changed. When I talked about that earlier, about how now I'm like, don't want to do it. I can do like ghost peppers and things like that and amounts on stuff, but never again will I do that. That was just utter pain. That was like esophagus burning, mouth to pit of the stomach. Bad.
I feel like as soon as I hit 30, I developed acid reflux. And now I just can never look at anything the same way again. Like, I can't eat a very tomato-forward sauce without regretting it in a couple hours. Let alone something that hot. And yet, I do it. Because your boy loves some wings. It's the one thing I said when you guys came down to visit. We had to get wings.
We did.
We didn't get the super hottest wings.
No, we didn't get hot wings.
No.
But
You don't need that.
maybe next time. But I can't anymore. And so, like, even when I could, to more of an extent that I do now, I needed to have some flavor. And
Yeah.
I especially love, like, I want it to have kind of a unique flavor. Like, for some reason, the thing that comes to mind is the Buffalo Wild Wings Asian Zing sauce. As, like, a great example of, like, this has a taste that is not buffalo sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And then some heat to it. Anything like that where, like, we're going to a place flavor-wise and then you bring in the heat, I'm into it. And that's kind of where I was going with the song this week. Is like, I want a song that feels like you just took a bite of something and you're like, yeah, all right. And you get a couple more bites in and then it starts to hit you. And then you're like, oh no. Oh no. I'm going to be paying for this. I've made a huge mistake. What about you guys? How did you pick your songs this week?
I wanted to pick a song that was how I felt when I was eating the hot stuff. And as I'm also a flavor seeker, I'm not a heat seeker, I'm a flavor seeker now as well. I think the Hot Ones episode where they have Bob Odenkirk, and I forget which one he has, and he just yells assholes, like in his best Saul Goodman voice, at the creators of this sauce. Like, that was his immediate reaction, just assholes. And so yeah, it was pretty much just pull yourself up. It's gonna be all right.
I feel like what I was thinking about was I wanted a song that both reflected a sort of maybe like a cooling sensation or sort of like a calmness that sort of like resonated with the feeling of like this is like a battle you have to win. Like this is a test of endurance. This is like this thing is like happening to you, but it feels like a very mortal terror. You're very like
Tyler famously loves to frame meals as a struggle.
Yeah, well, when he eats something,
he will order too much food and then act like he's like the guy from Man vs. Food. He's like, I'm not leaving this table until it's all gone.
Well, thank you to my mother who has for my entire life insisted on just being like, oh, here's half of my meal as well. Please eat it. And that's also why I was a big boy for many years. And then I was like, well, what if I just didn't eat a meal and a half at every meal? Turns out. But yeah, so I wanted a song that I feel like that was, that sort of reflected the mental state, but sort of like was almost more of like a something that would be helpful sort of like in this meditative state I'm trying to get past, trying to power through, trying to overcome the mountain I'm climbing.
Well then, why don't I go first this week? I think we'll build a little arch, right? We'll slow burn all the heat, cool down.
Yeah.
All right. So this week I chose "Hardwired" by MS Paint. So MS Paint are a relatively new band. I found them when I was looking for kind of new music at the end of last year for our new music or our bands to watch episode, and they got featured on Stereo Gum as a band to watch. I really dig them. They're a post-hardcore band, but they do really interesting things with instrumentation where it's not like just the standard guitar, bass, drums. This is like drums, bass, piano, synth, sax, like sometimes guitar. Like the instrumentation changes a lot, but it's all like really intense. They really only have the one speed. And it's the kind of vocals that you can only have in this genre where it's just like yelling. Like, there's a little bit of melody, but not much. But I think what actually like holds this together, and like a lot of post-hardcore, is the rhythm section. I love the beat of this song. I love the way it switches time signatures. It's like really simple, but hard to count. And I have to imagine that drumming this live is challenging because they definitely play it a little bit faster. And counting it is a bit of a struggle. And I feel like that is where the heat comes in is, you know, the song starts with this kind of like piano piece, and then when those drums come in, it's like the heat. It's like, ooh, what? Ooh, I don't. Like it's very stuttery. It's very like, oh god, like what's going on? Like I can't dance to this. Like 3/4 and then 4/4 and then 3/4 and then 4/4 again, and like, and then there's just this like yelling on top of it, just like real angry, just yelling, and I'm like, that's kind of how my body feels when I'm like not processing the heat well. I'm just like, I lose all sense of coordination, and the only thing I can focus on is the heat. And, you know, the line hardwired to your brain kind of feels that way. It's like the taste buds are hardwired to your brain, and that's all that you can do. All you can think about is, oh my god, this is hot. I need another taste in my mouth.
I feel like this is like an example of a challenge, and I think a song that doesn't necessarily need the lyrics to make 100% sense in this instance, because I feel like the intensity and the, like, sort of like the intention, I feel like do a lot of the heavy lifting here, because I feel like it really does sort of just start a little slow and then just kind of takes off and just kind of keeps hitting you, and I feel like it's so sort of like primal, and it's in like the vocal delivery department. And now that you mentioned it, you're right that the like the other parts of the song are a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting. There's enough to chew on for like this almost like what's the Death Grip song that like one of the very early like singles,
Like, is it Drip Drop maybe?
Probably, but it's like very like I'm just yelling about like just like almost felt very like just punching, just constant like forward momentum like this. And so I feel like that really
Get Got, that's the name of it.
yeah, probably. There's like a broken down like NBA like scoreboard thing or something, and he's like rapping in the air. Anyway. But yeah, so I feel like it has the same sort of like energy where I feel like it there's a lot of technical things happening in your brain that are like sort of like spinning around, and your synapses are firing, but like you're literally the vocal delivery is just sort of like the primal like, I need to run around, I need to go do something because this problem is not going to go away, and it feels insistent. And I feel like that's sort of like the right kind of vibe for a song where to replicate the effects of eating something hot. I feel like I could buy into it.
I agree with Tyler, and I want to build on that a little bit. That you have this nice like 30 seconds of intro, and then you go right into Hardwired to Your Brain, just as a repeated lyric over and over. And I think that's how that like ultra spiciness kind of gets to you, is that there's just this heat. And then there might be like a little burst as you think to yourself, like the second wind of, I can get over this. And then it goes right back to the hardwired part. And it's just kind of this sound wall that continues to just have a pressure against you most of the time. And I like that. I think there's something that's very elegant and beautiful about the song too, that you really just have a very minimal amount of lyrics. I was listening to another podcast called Why We Write. It's about like folk music writing, and they had somebody on there, I forget who it was, maybe Tom Paxton, if you're familiar with folk music, and he was saying that like he challenged listeners to do an exercise where you just write a lyric every single day based on a news article, and he was like, it doesn't matter if it's good, just get it out there. And I've been doing that, and I really have started to appreciate songs that have one or two lyrics that are just great, and how difficult that seems to do. Because I feel like for such a long time, when I was looking at lyrics and when I was writing lyrics, and when I do write lyrics now, that it needs to be like poetic and nice. Like if you listen to last week's episode, I talked about Circa Survive, and there's like this wild emotion that goes down here. But this particular challenge does not request that. And
no.
The challenge is very much just like a flat wall of like utter suffering, and this song fits that so well. So that was a long way about saying that I absolutely love this, but I absolutely love this.
And it has sax on it, and Sean likes it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, secret sax is going to be everywhere for me.
Sneaking that secret sax in.
Secret saxed.
Secret.
Well, let's Let's stay in the hardcore space. Sean, what do you have for us?
Oh, okay, cool. I'll go next then. So this week I chose Buggin' with the song Attitude. So I was listening to some more progressive-minded hardcore lately, and discovered Buggin', and absolutely fell in love with this song. I like its positive, upbeat message, but also I feel like it works very good for this song because you're basically just trying to get through the suffering and have the right attitude for it. And this song is basically about that. It's 56 seconds of just having the right attitude and moving in the right direction for you. And I love that. I feel like it was just right for what needed to happen here. And I like how aggressive it is. It's like misleadingly aggressive, which is something really cool.
Yeah, this rules. I love, love, love a hardcore song with a beat switch up. Like, one part of the fun of hardcore is just like thrashy, fast, intense. And you get that in the first part of this. But then the second part is the metal influence. It's the power chords. It's the riffing. And that's the second half of this song. And I feel like that is also, to your point, a good way to talk about the like hot food experience. It's like mine was kind of the slow burn. Yours is the initial hit. It's the immediate spicy, and then you're like flailing around trying to figure out what to do with yourself. And you even get like a half bar rest or a whole bar rest here. I haven't counted it out. Where you're just kind of like left in limbo, which I'm sure is hilarious in the pit. But I definitely feel that sometimes when I eat hot food, where I'm just like brain blank, completely zen in the worst way. Like there is nothing happening. There is just pain. And that's kind of how that like one count of silence on this track feels. I bet the pit goes wild on this one. I want to go to a Buggin' show.
This submission feels similar to when you pick Napalm Death's 1 second song. But I feel like this sort of like yes ands it a little bit better. And that it's like, yeah, it's about a minute, but I feel like you get a little bit more bang for your buck. You know, there's, I feel like a nice amount of meat here for it just to be enough. And you're like, okay, cool. Song done. Good hardcore song. Anyway, I sort of separate to the necessarily the challenge, but I do love sort of the idea of sort of like our culture sort of adapting to the idea that like kindness is punk, you know, because I feel like there's so little actual like that's like it seems to be the actual rebellion, because like sort of like we are sort of really going through like a mainstream sort of idea of seclusion, exclusion in some circles, of course, right? But so I feel like the people who are sort of like in these underground subgenres are like, hey, we are accepting everybody, you know, like let's bring a positive attitude. And I really enjoy this sort of direction, because I feel like for so long, I feel like the idea of like a lot of the sort of like the traditional hardcore stuff felt a little more exclusionary, felt a little more gatekeepy, and I feel like this is a little bit more like bringing everybody together. So I'm...
Yeah, have you seen the thing about on TikTok, parents telling their kids if you get like lost or something, find a goth?
No.
This is like a thing.
It.
It's like parents are telling their like preteen kids, like if you're lost in a mall or something, just like find a goth. They will be very nice to you and help you find your parents. And I was at Dollywood, and
Sweet message.
there was a young goth girl there, and she was like, yeah, I mean, like, absolutely. That's the vibe. And I'm like, yes.
You were
thanks.
just like, hey, goth child.
Well, we were standing around waiting
Tell
for
me
the
how you
parade
feel.
for Dolly Parton to drive by.
Yeah.
Because turns out even the goths love Dolly.
Right. Everybody got to
But
work.
Dolly 47.
Maybe.
Dolly till I die.
Yeah. But I mean, I suppose the song literally is about keep up the good work. So you're like, you're going through something tough. Keep on going, buddy. You'll make it out alive. You're like, okay, yeah, this is what this challenge is about. It's about you needed something to help you feel just a little bit better. I'd be curious to see kind of like, I mean, I'd see these folks live. I'd see Buggin' live. This is good. It's good. I'd be curious to listen to the whole album. I don't know if it'll fully be like a, I'm driving down, windows down in the summer kind of vibe, but you gotta respect it.
All right, Tyler, that just leaves you. What do you have for us?
Yeah. This week I chose Simmer by Hayley Williams.
When I least expect it, Kevin, control. There's so many ways to give in. Eyes closed. Another way to make it to 10. Or how to draw the line between wrath and mercy. Gotta simmer, 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 simmer down. Control. There's so many ways to give in. Eyes closed.
Banned off my pick board for the foreseeable future. Apparently this year is gonna be the year of Hayley Williams, because this new Paramore came out and it was great, and I kind of kept coming back to this self-titled Hayley Williams solo project and also loving it. So like I said, I kind of wanted a song that felt, because I feel like the last time I chose a song that was about heat, about fire, about intensity, I chose this Fire by Franz Ferdinand. And I felt like that song literally sort of like evoked the idea of the flames, sort of like a very fiery mentality. But I kind of wanted this one to be more about sort of like maybe the internal struggle, the battle of overcoming this obstacle. And I feel like sort of wanted to focus more on remaining calm, remaining focused, and I didn't want to choose like a instrumental song or like something I felt like more easy breezy, because that's not really what's going on here. Simmer, though, a song about sort of like maintaining your sort of like mental composure in difficult like emotional and relationship issues. I feel like lyrically, you could say that you could sort of like read the lines in some way that I feel like could apply to multiple different situations, or in this instance, you're too spicy a food. I feel like the idea of simmering down while you're, I feel like is a nice sort of like parallel to that. Like I feel like you're like literally trying to simmer, trying to cool down from this hot thing. I think sort of like low hum of sort of like almost like maybe like an alarm sound kind of like pulsating in the back of this whole song, I feel like sort of gives me that Sonic the Hedgehog sort of like your drowning sound sort of vibe, or like there's like alarm going off, and I feel like that really sort of also kind of resonates with this sort of feeling where it's this sort of like pain that you're sort of like cycling through, and you're just trying to find a way to turn off the button, But yeah, I think this song is sort of more cool, calm, and collected, and it's sort of like an aspirational feeling when you're sort of like battling this heat that you can't overcome.
An interesting pick for this challenge. Not a bad pick, but it took me by surprise, because Sean and I both went for like the intensity, the pain.
Yeah.
Right. And then you really said, no, I'm going for the mental state, the aspiration, the recovery.
Yeah.
And I like that angle. I think that's a good angle. I think this is maybe closer to that like Indian food kind of heat than the hot wing kind of heat. It's a slow build. And, that was not the direction I went. I immediately went for spicy wing sauce, but I feel you. I get what you're putting down. This song I like a lot. in terms of its like songwriting and, well, in terms of its lyrics and its like message and to a certain extent its production. I think whether it's Haley or the producer, the decision to make the bridge this kind of like weird murmury kind of ambient thing where it's like a bunch of different versions of her voice like kind of muttering or whispering the line about petals for armor. I'm just like, that's such a powerful line. Why not like sing it? Like sing it. I guess because the song is about like simmering and like tension, I really wanted the bridge to be like a big release. And instead it's just this like strange quiet anticlimax. And I don't know, I just don't think it works for me on an aesthetic level. Which is a shame because I like pretty much everything about this on an aesthetic level except that. Like, I love the electronic production. I think this is a great vocal performance from her. Just that bridge throws me off.
Oh, I like it. I think if it was called Boiler, maybe it would be a little bit more intense. But I appreciate when it comes out from the bridge that it makes what would have been the flatness of the chorus seem a little brighter. I think that's a really good build up there. And then the hard cuts, like if she does the simmer, and then it kind of just drops, and you have that hit again to bring everything in. I think it's produced very well. I think is this a low heat song? Is this one of those like you take a bite of it and it's kind of in your mouth and you can't really get rid of it?
Could be. I feel like regardless of it, I still feel like any kind of heat that you're dealing with, there's going to be sort of like, you're like just bracing for like an impact. You're just sort of like, so it's just like, it just kind of keeps going. It's a constant sort of like pain that just it's not going to go away. Is this going to be my life forever? Maybe. Almost the flatness is almost the appeal.
Yeah.
I get that.
I like it. I think it's a good song for this challenge. I like her voice in it. It's not Paramore,
right?
Which is good. You definitely get the feeling this is Hayley Williams here, because sometimes it was like when Gwen Stefani stepped away from No Doubt. You have to establish yourself as the artist that's outside of the band versus being the project. And I appreciate that because I think it was like a few weeks ago I picked Paramore's song from their new album on here. So just quickly, the year of Hayley Williams has turned into two different things, and I forget what the challenge was for that, but
we're really exploring her range, that's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he did a good choice. It's a simmer. I think yours is like right off the bat the most heat related one. So
yeah,
it's right there in the title. Did we have any listener submissions this week?
No, ain't nobody got them.
What? 2 weeks in a row.
Come on, folks.
All right. Well, with that, heartburn. Anybody else have some B-sides?
Listen, I only had one. Really wanted to pick it. It's just, I don't know. It feels a little cringy in 2023, but at the same time, it's a legendary track. And so I feel like maybe someday it'll get on this playlist, but this was not the week for Smack My Bitch Up by The Prodigy.
Okay. I would have respected it. I mean, like, he made this choice. He says...
It's a great track. And I'm sure if you asked the guys in The Prodigy now, they would feel differently about it than they did in, like, 1994 or whenever it came out. But...
yeah, as it turns out, maybe domestic abuse wasn't as big of an issue as widely regarded as an issue at the time. And, at this point... it's a metaphorical bitch. It's
right.
yeah,
But
it's
The production is just so fire.
Yeah. I do feel like that entire, like, I feel like their work feels fiery, feels hot.
Yeah, and that whole record, The Fat of the Land, is just like, it's like a spicy curry that never stops. I mean, that's the album with Firestarter on it, and I didn't even want to pick Firestarter as a B-side.
And there we go. See, that's what I'm saying is, look at us, look at our evolution. We said we didn't choose Firestarter. We had another opportunity to do it. We said no, not ready to end the podcast yet.
What's a single by Hot Hot Heat? I thought they were like a one-hit wonder band.
What's a Hot Chip doing?
It would be Bandages.
Okay.
Is the Hot Hot Heat song. Bandages on my legs and my arms for you. Bandages, bandages, bandages.
That would be a podcast ender too. My other B-side was Time Is Running Out by Muse, but I think there's a chance that I might have had that on here. I don't know why. That just feels like a very this kind of challenge song.
Probably most songs from the Crazy Taxi soundtrack probably would just
Fair.
Tyler just throws it in there, just like every song Crazy Taxi soundtrack.
You know, maybe The Offspring. No.
Yeah, I could see Offspring.
Yeah, sure. Why
making
not?
This one. Yeah, you had a one in mind. What's the animated one that was out in the early 2000s?
That's
the way.
Kids aren't all right. Self-esteem. I don't know. What's the one that goes yeah is all I want. Yeah, that's the real Crazy Taxi one. No, anyway, we're ruining everyone's time now. I think my only B-side really was My Dog's Eyes by Zan Mudo, which is also a chill track, but mostly I felt like the song was far too poetic for this challenge, and I decided that would be not good. Children of the Sun by Judas Priest was also a strong contender, which is an album that I still want to put on this playlist because it's actually good.
Well, Tyler, if people want to get spicy with you, where can they do that?
Hey, everybody. You can find my design and illustration work at rudepets.club. And as always, on socials as Rude Pets Club on Instagram and Twitter. I've gotten the note that I've been saying it too fast. So I'm saying it at a reasonable pace.
Thank you for that.
I hope you check it out. It would mean a lot.
Sean, if people want to take one last stab with you, where can they do that?
You can find me on my syndicated YouTube channel, No Repeat Podcasts. But if you're not there, you can find my Instagram at TellySean. Do I need to explain my handle?
No.
Tyler got to do his.
No, it's fine. We get it. It's about television and also Telecaster guitars.
What if the listeners don't know what that is?
Well, you know, I did it for you. There you go. I just mansplained your Instagram handle. Are you happy? And if you want more of this spicy banter, you could follow me on the socials at TC Olmstead. All of these songs will be on the official No Repeat podcast playlist. We'll be back next week with another episode of No Repeat.